type shit. Why take you so long to put your clothes on? By the same time to paint your face already was a dime. I can't wait, why take you so long? I roll this weed, I'm at your heels, I'm at your speed. I can't sit still, just lit my trees. We way too chill for me, man. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get man. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get. Why take you so long to put your clothes on? I could take some time, or some time could just be so. Look. Best tiptoe if you gon' step to me. It's only one girl in this world who could do me. A lot of niggas living this shit like a movie. It feel like motherfuckers only watch Tubi. No Tubi continue, we talking opinion, stretching the truth. These niggas is Luffy, Peppy the Pew. I'm smelling wet dog, motherfuckers is goofy. I'm paying attention. Pay my dues, then take receipts. Langston Hughes when I paint these beats, and I change my views when I learn new things. Most these folk ain't came here to listen for real. Niggas reinventing the wheel, but you can't fool me. Always been different, a little peculiar. The major difference is I do me. Don't know why take you so long. Every L been a lesson, he blessing me, I can't do no wrong. You simply must confess his majesty, I can't do nothing for him. It's a tragedy how we get along with the fallacy. Truth just too much for him. Looked in the mirror, had too much on. Call her, baby, I'm a work in progress. Loch Ness, if you ever do search for him. When the last time niggas seen themselves? When the last time nigga really got fly? I can tell motherfuckers don't preen themselves. I don't think niggas like being themselves. Why take you so long to take your mask off? Playing both sides, it's just two-faced, we do not believe the lies. Say ways, why take you so long to just be real? We way too chill for you to be lying. What's your deal? You on that hill, we'll let you die on it. Kenneth said it best, nigga, you ain't gotta lie. Just to kick it, boy, we next to you. It ain't about how fly or your chicken just was natural. Only do the factual, pray that he keep blessed.
This is CBD, but my eyes feel low.
You might like clear. You're not in. You might feel relaxed.
I feel great.
Welcome to the fatal car accident that is Aries season. Shh, don't let that go over your head. Anyway, yes, welcome to Free Agency. This is your host, the Peace Dealer. And let me just say, given the last few years you've spent reawakening and developing the next trajectory of your life and being, you are going to look forward to in the next 30 days of seeing the expression of your awakened potential at the supernatural level. Yes, I am all baby faced out. I'm going to do a tradition where every year where the sun is 0 degrees Aries, I'm just going to reset my face. I'm going to cut it all off. My beard will probably come back around Taurus season. But it's been a while. I was going to do it last year, but I skipped it. But yes. So what do I mean by supernatural potential? Okay. The sun, as you can see, is making a sextile to the moon and Pluto. This is where it is right now. The sun 2 months ago was actually activating your supernatural potential. So I'm using a lot of nuanced terms. It's not as simple as that, but we can say from 2008 to 2024 was the beginning of the threefold universal awakening of the collective. Deadass. It's cool. I'm still the same me, but just a fresh look. And we finished the first part of the Hunger Game. I mean, we finished the first part of this awakening which in Capricorn of organizational structure and authorities, awakened everything in that level. That's why Pluto in Capricorn really played its hand in taking a lot of established pillars in celebrity culture and politics and showing you beneath the scenes the corruption that is occurring. Well, given that Aquarius is humanity, we're going to see this extended towards the actual people themselves. Pluto in Aquarius takes the culmination of the buildup of this unhingedness and it sparks revolution. And Aries is this spark. The most important thing about this year, by the time we come into the full moon, Neptune will be in Aries, Saturn will be in Aries, and the look for the new player one is going to be the central theme of 2025 to 2026. Basically, 2025 is not like 1993. Race relations aren't entirely the same. I'm not going to say it's better or worse. Political relations are entirely the same. Nation identity, the identity of nations at its worst, horrible fascism at its best, patriotism that defends the homeland no matter what country you're on, right? This is going to play a major forefront as the new world order of Saturn and Aries may, throughout the next 30 years, aim towards this push towards a worldwide a worldwide global system. And this is where we're going to see nationalities that want to maintain their independence kind of, pick their side. A great example of this is the USA dropping out of NATO, right? And just starting to run other countries' pockets instead of kind of give it to them. But it's not limited to just America. I'm just using that as an example. And congratulations for being here. This is a wondrous time to be alive. 93 and 2025. And then we can go even further back to 62. So like the 1960s, the 1990s, and the 2020s. Okay. The Ready Player One is the Aries concept. Aries is the face. Who are we going to put as the face of this brand? Because in order for, a brand to really identify with many people who look at it, the face has to be something that represents them. Who was the face of America? I'm going to use America as an example, but we could also use Egypt. We could also use, not Czechoslovakia. I don't know why I say that right. We could also use Russia. You know what I'm saying? Who was the face of what it means to represent this country in the 60s? Who was the face of it in the 90s? Who was the face of it in the 2020s? We're coming into now with a whole new budding generation of children who identifies with the personification of the entire collective. And this is why Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, as they align with your character and who you are, these four signs are the most racist signs. Now, when I say these signs are racist signs, I'm not saying that people who have these zodiac signs are more racist than people who don't, but they could be. I'm saying that these signs of identity, your race is a part of your identity. So Cancer is going to be more of a homeland identity. Where are you from, right? Libra is the ambassador who now takes who we are in Aries and reaches out to other nations. And Capricorn is the government structure that represents different social mores and individuals, right? One person in Congress is going to represent a whole bunch of proponents. That's collective power, a body that controls and enforces law. And then you have Aries, who you actually are. So it's going to be very interesting to see, race relations, race dynamics, identity politics, sexual identity, right? As Saturn and Neptune is bringing us out of the old dream and nightmare that has kept us wound up, one, since the 90s, and two, since the 1800s with Neptune. It's very interesting now to kind of go back and study how the politics and the belief systems of people through the late 1800s into the early 1900s directly affect what we're coming out of today. And that's what could have it feel like certain elements, good and bad, of the old are dissolving in favor of a next era. Okay. This romanticization, I'm not saying that right. This romanticization of the past is really being had by people who feel like the old world they were comfortable in is dying. And that's because it's dead. Okay. There is this huge proliferation of worldliness and materialism that has reached its peak coming into the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that we are seeing dissipating. That illusion that had caught people so much more, you're seeing more and more in the thousands and millions be disillusioned. People are tired of fake shit. People are tired of influencers who are trying to put on an image in politics, in entertainment. People are tired of people using their status in order to kind of make decisions for other people. And now what people want more than ever is authenticity. People have always wanted authenticity, but now we're tipping on that scale. We're going to see this scale go back and forth. There's going to be a point where we're too raw. We're too authentic. We need to balance and polish it. We're coming out of this scale where everything is too professionally produced. Everyone is too obsessed with vanity and image. And now we want to see more of that raw shit. That's why people want to see more of like original, organic stuff. Now, people wanting to see organic authenticity is something that has occurred at every point in history. It's not like specific to this, but we want to really map how there's more of a desperate need of this. Another beautiful thing about this period is that if you go back to the mid 90s, you had Hanna-Barbera, you had like Looney Tunes, you had these old cartoons running reruns over and over. By this period, people have seen these cartoons over and over. And then what happened in 96? You had the introduction of original new networks and programs that now that we're in our 30s, if you're born in the 90s, but now that we've gone through a 30-year cycle, we have seen the completion of such. Major case in point, I like to use Rugrats as an example, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. These original cartoons in the later 90s to early 2000s represented the new, at the time, the new era, right? That many of us grew up watching. And now we're in our 30s to 60s, and there's a group of kids who are going to get ready to come into the next renaissance, the new era. Okay, a major case in point I want to use is Pokemon. Pokemon came out in the 90s. And in following the journey of Ash, I use Pokemon as an analogy so much, I look like a Pokemon fan. But I'm not as much as a Pokemon fan as it may look. I just really love talking about it. Pokemon is just so fucking odd. The concept of Pokemon is just fucking amazing. But like, if you journey Ash's journey, if you log Ash's journey from the 90s to now he's completed his journey. Now he has won a championship. And also now he has become the master of all Pokemon. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's not like it had to be tied deliberately. But as we are ending this cycle of Saturn that last time was here, right? If we even go back 27 years into the past, coming into 98, Saturn was in Aries where it's going to be. Go back to the 90s. In order to really appropriately understand this period of time, you must go back to the 90s, okay? Some people are done with the 90s because they didn't grow up in the 90s, and I get that. You know what I'm saying? But you also have to go back to the 1800s. So we are in the midst of Renaissance. And happy birthday, Ancient Rose. We love you out here. Shout out to Aries. Happy birthday, Aries. All right, we're going to get into why y'all are the most important people right now. For the past few years, the most important people were like Pisces doesn't count. Pisces, you're not even really human, so you don't really count. But we did have like, yeah, I'm sorry, Pisces. But we do have like Taurus. Taurus was heavily important coming into 2018 when Uranus left Aries. We had more prominence from Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, DJ Academics, and other such independents. If you want to talk about the four gods, that's Sag, Cap, Aqua, Pisces. If you want to talk about the four superheroes or supervillains or socials, that's Leo, Virgo, Libra of activism, and then Scorpio of of purity. And then if you want to go to the four independents, and these are the four you need to look out for. We have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. Cancer, this is your year this year. Once we come into July, you're leveling up all year. And considering how Gemini got done pretty well, and Taurus and Aries, you up, and it's well deserved. So, Aries is going to be a very prominent figure moving forward because we need to find our ready player one. Aries also is going to represent you in how you identify yourself and the need to fulfill your sense of authenticity. Where is it in your natal chart? Because the house it's in will help you understand and follow where we're going at with this peace report. Okay, this is a very important Aries season, and it might get overshadowed by the epic nature of other seasons, but everything starts from somewhere, and that's what we're doing quite literally. So the January 21st was where we had the Sun-Pluto conjunction. We then manifested this supernatural awakening of cosmic energy, which represents a 20-year arc, which I call the advanced society arc, that's going to replace all sorts of technology with updated AI genius and and just more ability to communicate with each other. Shout out to Aries Rising Esco, where you'll be able to really bond very deeply with a sex robot. With other people using technology. Okay, this is going to represent the awakening of our minds. Our mind force is why you're going to see a lot of these people doing telekinesis, floating. It's not that it's coming out of nowhere. It's that a lot of the awakening before was auto-nervous and within us. When we go to Aqua and Pisces, that's out of this world and beyond this construct, this now completes the process collectively. I wouldn't be surprised if every 3 months, thousands of people awaken more into their supernatural potential. And supernatural doesn't necessarily have to be some fantasy concept where we're shooting blasts out our hands. It's going to represent waking up earlier, being sharper in thinking, augmenting technology. The quality, and the Leo King said this, the quality of a society's technology reflects how spiritual they actually are, if you want to look at it like that. But yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is a really huge deal. And if you are personally an Aquarius, we know you diabolical. We know you're planning a world takeover. Sex dolls for the male loneliness epidemic. I don't understand what this male loneliness shit is. Not to say that there aren't lonely men who just haven't really gotten any, but the double standard is fucking ridiculous. If I beat my meat right now, y'all gonna be like, oh, you're a loser, Mike. Go get some bitches, Mike. Go out. You can't just beat your meat every day. But if a woman does it, yeah, girl, liberate yourself. Yeah, girl power. Yeah, I got my rose. It's just unfair. First of all, you ladies are going to have the sex dolls first. Let me just predict this shit for y'all. You ladies, the reason why men are going to have sex dolls is because you women replace men with your machines. It's bad enough men are having to compete with roses. Okay? Now y'all gonna have fully functional automated dolls who listen to what you say and don't argue with you. And you're gonna be like, I don't even need you men anymore. What else is gonna happen? I mean, okay, maybe the second. Yes, they can. See, that's the thing, and it's just gonna be a little bit crazier. You don't understand because you forget about patriarchy. Look, I have a penis. Okay, I have a dick. I feel like I unknowingly perpetuate patriarchy and I don't even know. So you're right. I'm not gonna understand, but still, it is what it is. But that being said, I think talking about patriarchy is very interesting because once again, if we go back to the 1800s, if we go back to the 90s, where once again, things happen cyclically and in cycles. So we did have this nature of over masculinization, right? We did have this issue of purporting elements of patriarchy. Then we had the shift into Pluto Cap, which is feminine, Neptune Pisces, which is feminine. We started to see backlash of things getting way too feminine, and we're breaking through into a greater balance. It's going to skip the scales into masculinity again in men and women. All right. And the reason why that's very significant is if you think about patriarchal institution and influence that is not limited, it happened before the 1800s, but since the 1800s versus now, the rhetoric and the conversation about it, now that you have more men and women speaking about how, you know what I'm saying, masculinity has been killed and destroyed, we're seeing a revival of this. And that's where I believe the divine feminine woman, the divine feminine in men and women have awakened considerably, because now we're going to start to see men awaken at a much greater capacity. And there's a level with which men hold space for women, and there's a space where women hold space for men. So I get the sense that personally, you know, there, and Giselle, we need to do a peace talk where we can kind of have a mock argument personally, because I feel like there's a lot about feminism and there's a lot about your views on patriarchy that I think will teach me a lot personally. I still wanna, you know, hold my ground and share my ideas, but especially given your background and how educated you are, it'd be really interesting to see, you know what I mean? Like how you feel it has shifted. Is it getting better or worse? The divine masculine is definitely rising up. And the beautiful thing about it is we needed the toxicity. We needed to expose how toxic femininity could be. We needed to expose how toxic masculinity could be. We needed to see all of these, you know what I'm saying? Where we have, I like to use Fresh and Fit as an example, because as much as people hate Fresh and Fit was not only ahead of their time, it was necessary to broadcast this. It was necessary to see all the ugly and high points of this culture that exists beyond just them. Because now greater rhetoric in response to that, like that was needed to trigger people in order to bring what's going to come. We're going to see a resurgence in femininity and masculinity, but in a way that is, it stops being preachy and it's more action driven. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, personally, it's getting you ready to basically act on what you believe. And that's why this Aries season is so important, because this is going to be the first step in a new era and new world that's going to determine where you end up going. And this first step is taken relative to your authenticity, which will define the originality of your character. Can you please tell me about Power Saturn Alien? So really good question, Steph. I'm going to do a special live to go into all the alien constructs. If you watch my video called Alien Constructs that I shot, I'm going to follow it up with more of a series. But the Power Saturn Alien, if you were born with Saturn on your sun, I did a reading with someone like that before, you're a spirit reaper. I have the vessel Saturn alien contract. And then some people have the rising Saturn alien contract, because anything Saturnian is a contract. So Saturn sons are some of the most powerful people that exist. 50 Cent is an amazing example, because with the Saturn Sun power contract, you manifest anything from your heart into 3D. Saturn is the totality of material reality. It's the computer that logs in your imagination and then programs it into reality. So what show did 50 Cent put out? Power, right? He has it in a water sign. So he made hundreds of millions of dollars selling water. The sign you have this Saturn sun in is going to really help you understand. Like if you were born 93, 94, you have Sun, Saturn, Pisces. If you're born 96, 97, you have it in Aries. So Sun, Saturn, aliens can actually achieve chronokinesis. And it has a lot to do with expressing this. You're a gangster. Let me just stop. You're a gangster. If you have Saturn on your sun or moon, you're a gangster. You're really about that. You live this integrity shit. People are going to try you and you might catch a body. And I have to say it exactly like that, because that's exactly what it is. But other than that, it's the power of integrity expressed through your spirit. And it's beautiful, you know, because the Saturn is coming out of Pisces and going through the nodes. This is going to very realistically wrap up this end of the old era and world. Obviously, time is constant. The now is the only thing that's constant. But, you know, just really keep this in mind, because Aries is the beginning of you stepping into your free agency. And that's the concept that I want to use moving forward. We have the awakening of this supernatural potential that loaded from your body. So this is the threefold awakening of God collectively within you. You've awakened your body. Well, we could say fourfold. We can even bring back 95 to 2008. This is where you awakened your mind's eye. Then you awakened your body. But the reason why I want to just use the last three is because we could do 4 quadrants of 3. So 2008 to 2024 was the awakening of your body and skeletal structure. Because when you bend the force, when you use energy, as we are stepping in over the next 20 years to an energy revolution, we're going to see revolutions in energy and technology. A lot of energy solutions we used to use aren't anymore. Pluto Capricorn 2008 to 2024 are genius minds who make money very young, and they all are obsessed with success at a young age. So you have 12-year-olds building nuclear reactors, and you have to think those kids are our future. So they're going to run. I call them the rulers. If Sag Pluto is the creator of the new world, 95 to 2008, 2008 to 2024 are the rulers of this new world. So we're going to see innovative energy transcendence. We're going to see exposure of energy companies hiding much cheaper solutions in a favor for them to just make bread medicinally. But let's talk more energy solutions. So it's going to be an energy revolution. Technologically, yes, but 2, within you. Being able to harness the bioenergy circuitry in your body to produce energy. And that's where people who have like Pluto Sag or Pluto on the rising, their relationship with energy is at the extreme level. Pluto risings, stay away from Pluto risings, y'all. They see through your soul. Like they're dangerous people inherently. They be acting like they're not, but like especially in Sag, first of all, everyone with Pluto Sag is a crash out. The reason why I say the Pluto Sag generation is a crash out is because of Sagittarius. So Pluto Sag on rising, you embody the crash out of your entire generation. All right, like I kind of feel uneasy that you're watching this right now. You literally embody the entire crash out nature of your entire generation. Okay. Popular, very well-known crash out, born in 1998, Merck, a healthcare CEO, because y'all generation is not playing around. Like the activism that Pluto Libra bridged the way towards, and then Pluto Scorpio intensified. Pluto Sag is like, y'all are weak. Hold my beer. Like y'all aren't really about this change. We really finna pop, 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 put the shit like, that's why I'm terrified of y'all generation. And then Pluto Capricorn and making nuclear reactors at 12 and making more money at 8 than I've ever made in 30 years. It's just highly disrespectful. Y'all are the most disrespectful generation of all time. And it's cool. It's necessary. You feel me? But yes, I feel like as terrifying as it is, I've put my bet on you. Reading Forest Fairy Tarot's children's charts really helped reinforce, you know what I'm saying, the faith I have in the next generation. That being said, thank you for the Cash App. Any of you who would actually like a reading at the end of this, click the description box below, and I'll put you in the queue, and I got you, fam. Okay, make sure you email me your chart. Aisha, I have your chart, so that's no problem. I'm gonna hit you up with a nice birthday reading. So yeah, guys, first of all, I started doing this for anyone watching me newly. I started doing this 2012. I had a different YouTube channel, and in 2014 I created The Peace Dealer, and ever since then I've had the pleasure and honor of serving y'all. You guys have shown me that some of the dopest people exist on this planet, and they fucks with me. You know what I'm saying? You single-handedly help me see the value and worth in what I do in a society that try to convince me I'm some pseudo-scientific weirdo. And as weird as I may be, I ain't pseudo. We the real deal over here. So that being said, you know, I'm very grateful. The min for readings for astrology is going to be 30, and then for the tarot is going to be 10, but we're not going to do tarot today. Click the description box below and you will see the instructions, no problem. So yeah, with that being said, this puts you in a position, you know, to not only carve through your identity. Shout out to Esco, shout out to Janarian, shout out to all of y'all. You know what I mean? I'm very, if my readings have ever helped you, if my videos have ever helped you, you taught me that there are things that truly mean more than money. Because I've always believed that money isn't shit. I grew with my mom, grew me up Christian. She separated me from the world. She sheltered us at certain periods. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful for it. At some point, we never really watched TV. I live under a rock. I'm slow. I'm late to shit. So I've never believed that money is that important. I believe people are just so obsessed with money. It is the mammon is the god of this world, if you think Capricorn. But you guys made it real for me. You guys really showed me, like, this is the reason why I can do this, period, without needing the money. Because I look at the effect it has on y'all and how I'm able to help, and that is worth more than money. Like, you can't buy that. People with money desperately try to buy that, and they can't. Where is the question? So for those of you who would like to know where to find the description box, of course, if you're on Instagram, just come on over to YouTube if you want to see those instructions. So here is the YouTube channel right here. If you look to the left right here, here's the description, and then boom, here are the instructions to join the queue. Okay. Also, if you guys want to talk to me one-on-one, let me know. If you are a YouTube member, you get $1 a minute. That's exclusive for the gang. If you're a YouTube member, I'll talk to you $1 a minute. And yeah, I'm gonna, when I eventually open the app, we'll have more insight into how that works. Okay. So with that being said, I'm glad you said all isms are meant to divide. We also want to talk about the influence of religion on the populace. Many people use their religion to justify attacks on other cultures, to justify their expansion and colonialism in other cultures and countries. And we're entering an age and period. The God Slayers are Pluto Sag, the death of beliefs, the death of philosophies coming into the rest, right? So it's like, you know, we're upending the lie where people worship religion more than they worship God. You know what I'm saying? Religion is only meant to be a path, a way of life, a tool to help align with the kingdom of God that's within you. If you want to know God in the universe, you need to know yourself. listen to Know Thyself by KRS-One, Leo sun, by the way, who is hip hop. Hip hop was born in Leo season. So that's why Leos represent hip hop. They innovate hip hop, from KRS-One to Tory Lanez to Young Thug. I know y'all don't want me to say the last two, but they have made their mark. You know what I mean? So, know thyself to know God in the universe. You've had the inversion of these religious structures to say, no, it's not about yourself to get there. You need everything external. These exoteric religions that have usurped your connection to the divine and replaced it with dogma and orthodoxy in order to directly manipulate people, as far back as the time of Constantinople, where you had different religions and we just said, it's all Christian now, we're going to mix different whatever. And you have people still parroting these beliefs as if they're divine and true and not invented and not stolen. Many of you are coming into the realization that certain people's religious beliefs are a stolen legacy, and they stole it from your culture. Imagine someone creating a religion based on remixing your ancestors' religions, using it, and then saying, no, they're demonic. Ours is the real. So you have people who live a lie. You have people who are sold on a faith that has been fabricated. And I'm not just talking about one religion. It's really just the exoteric idea that God exists anywhere outside of yourself when the kingdom of heaven is within you. When your body is literally the temple of God, and where the church is not a physical place you congregate, the church is the body of Christ. It is the congregation of believers who demonstrate. Okay. Nowadays, you have people who just talk the talk. Reading a book of apostles who got killed, imprisoned to push a message that they demonstrated with miracles, spirits. And nowadays, you have people fake talking in tongues and light language. They don't heal people. They don't actually prophesy shit. There's no spirit in them. So you have people practicing a form of godliness that is anything but godly. And that is the rollout of Saturn coming out in Pisces. This death of spirit is something that has been talked about for decades, if not centuries. But we're going to see this hardcore shift where so much of this religious dependency on a crutch of belief systems to make sense of your experiences, which is one thing, but then to demonize other people who believe whatever because they don't match with yours, it's conditioning and brainwashing. When you're lied to and told that you were born worthless and you need an external savior to give you grace, it's the most disgusting thing you could actually put someone through. While, and most people mean well, but meaning well, meaning well is paved. The road to hell is paved with people who mean well. You know what I mean? Even the terms I'm using are very religiously influenced. So people collectively are awakening from a nightmare. The reality, fortunately or unfortunately, is that you have a generation of children who are breaking these curses by not inheriting these beliefs. Because if you think Islam, Christianity, Judaism, if you think all of these religions are going to be carried on by this next generation of children, I'm sorry, it's going to die with you guys. It's going to become an ancient lost art, especially as scientific innovations help us peer outside of what's occurring. Now, there's another type of religion that's called postmodern science, which is materialist reductionist and is based on theoretical models. It, compared to other religions, is much more empirical. So if you ask me which I choose, I'm choosing science all day, because at least we don't have to argue about made up shit. We can at least argue on certain constants that we think are whatever. But look forward to, innovations that change the way we look at everything we previously thought we knew. which is the nature of science, where new discoveries are going to transform what we thought we knew. But this is going to really eradicate a lot. Not sure about Islam. It's very radical, but you would be surprised. Okay. It's definitely going to be revelations that change the way people think about their faith systems. And I understand why you're saying that as well. Can I pay someone to get a reading through the super chat? Whoever wants to hook up Follow the Moon, let them know. But I'm just using Islam as an example because before this happens, you're going to see a crazy revival. You're going to see people step more into these faiths than ever because they're in a position where they're trying to find themselves. And of course, a religious structure gives you the impression and the illusion that you are, when really you're just parroting someone's beliefs that literally made it up and stole it from older cultures. I hate to say it like that, but that's what it is. Zoroastrianism, Hellenism, ancient Egyptian Kemetic philosophy. The Greeks and the Romans borrowed from that. They borrowed it from the Greeks. So, it's very interesting to see how all of this really converges moving forward, where Neptune is dissolving the illusion of separation. The idea that you were ever separate from God in the first place is a lie. The idea that there's anything you have to do to connect with God is a lie. As God, we are all a part of the body of God. We're like cells floating through God. We're little droplets of the eternal ocean that we call the all right? That one mind. So Neptune in Aries is going to apply this dissolvement into how you identify yourself. Okay. It's one thing to just say, I'm a God, I'm God. It's another thing to reflect actions that demonstrate this. So that's why I'm saying 2008 to 2024, we had this awakening of your body, which now prepared your vessel to harness supernatural energy. Okay. I want to make this clear. I believe in Christ. I know that in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. What I'm trying to tell you is that my belief in Christ is not dependent on the Bible. The Bible is not the Word of God. Christ and Christ only is the Word of God. I'm not going to say Christ was someone in Jerusalem. I'm going to say that story was stolen. The idea was monopolized. Okay. So my understanding of the truth of Logos is not limited to a plagiarized, canonized book. And I love that book, by the way. I still go to Bible study every week, but it's important to just be real about the nature of these passages. The union of a universal church that has more denominations than it probably almost has books in the older New Testament alone. All right. And that being said, I don't necessarily say this so that you stop believing your faith system. God might have called you into that for a reason. And when I say God, I'm saying that nuanced. But from my perspective, please don't replace your faith system with the actual truth and reality of what you're actually doing this for. All right. And Christ merely means anointed one. So really, Christ is whoever is anointed. There's the account of Christ through certain religions, but then there's the root core of where Christ, KST or KRT, actually came from, which came from Egypt. I'm gonna be completely honest. A lot of religions usually really came from Egypt, but and then of course, borrowed from other stuff before. But that being said, you know what I mean? And when we say Christ, we actually mean Osiris, right? Jesus was actually created from a fusion of Osiris, Horus, and Serapis, right? Serapis came from Osiris. Serapis Christ. A lot of the myths and legends of that actually just ended up being pushed to Jesus. Jesus had to mirror Moses so they could connect the New with the Old Testament. Neither have historicity. Moses may have actually been a non-Egyptian high-ranking official in Egypt. And, you know, you see Judaism borrowing stories after they got kicked out, exiled, try to make their own religion. So I'm not saying this to talk down on other religions. It's important not to confuse the belief, which is cap, to the actual truth, okay? And it's very significant because it's not a preacher. It's not me that's going to have you break through into this realization. It's you. It's your walk along this path that's going to tie all this together. And if you decide to be Christian in Islam, do it in integrity. Whatever it is you do it with integrity. These religions are not your God. They are just a way with which to integrate this understanding in your life. So yeah, I have no thoughts about Buddha. I'm not really versed at all in Buddhism, so I'm not really going to say much. But, you know, definitely very interesting. Taoism, you know, a lot of these carry the root core principle of the feminine, masculine, the Trinity, Mother, Father, God, or Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And, you know, that being said, as we kind of break through, right, the nature of these outdated beliefs and old belief systems, the first step we're taking into this free agency over the rest of this year is putting you in a position to not only develop this new direction of authenticity, but to apply the new belief systems you spent Pisces season last month with the North Node in Pisces, making all Pisces diabolical and dangerous. And Pisces is dangerous right now because they can just switch your beliefs like this. They have a lot of pull right now. But that being said, you know, this is putting you in a position to take your first step in applying the new belief systems you spent 30 years putting together. All right. So with that being said, we have this Pluto Aqua transit getting ready to awaken the supernatural quality and potential of your mind. You want to think that there are, of course, latent facets of your brain function that have been suppressed and conditioned that you're going to be forcefully breaking through, all right, through your experiences. And this is going to, we're going to use an analogy, break you through in your mastery of the force. The force chakra, men, it's something everyone has within them, but not everyone taps into the circuitry, especially in a society like this that blatantly begs you to look outside of yourself and everywhere but inside. You need this surgery. You need this medicine. You need this advice. You need to read this book, but you have all the answers inside. All right. I didn't even know Lilith was in Scorpio. But yeah, we might as well mention it. I might go more into it coming into Taurus season with the opposition. But basically, this was where we began that official, because we did it last 2023, but like it retrograded back into Capricorn. I think that was actually 2024. So this is the first official time we're in there. And then we had the manifestation of this forming through your imagination beliefs that help you experience what this new activation is, okay? So that once we step into Aries, this is what I mean by now that it's making a 60-degree Gemini signature. You are for the first time ever expressing the supernatural quality of your potential through your awareness of who you are and what actions reflect the beliefs you just spent last month putting together. Okay. And I liken a period like this to the book of Acts, where you have the apostles, you know, Jesus had to go back into heaven so that the Spirit can come down, and the Spirit is blessing people. People are speaking in tongues, and it's Acts. Acts is such a beautiful book because it's the actions of the apostles, right? And this puts you in a position to realistically, right? I love that. YouTube blocked me. I love that. Jesus never healed anyone either. He says that it is by one's faith in their ability to heal. If you read those passages, it's like people are expecting Jesus to do stuff, and Jesus is like, just believe. Why don't you believe? Right? It's you believe. Blessed are those who believe without seeing, because he's not enabling you to be dependent on him. He is activating as a mirror in the context of this story your innate potential to tap into the spirit within, the divine spark. All right. As gnosis, right? If we want to get Gnostic with it, gnosis really meaning knowledge, right? Represented by Aquarius, is what will bring you outside of the Capricornian demiurgic nature of reality. We see Lilith at the very end of Libra. And I think as it goes into Scorpio, this is going to, of course, really intensify, whether messily or sexually, the depth of your erotic nature, especially when you connected with other people. We are all sparks of God. Some just never realize their light and potential. Instead, they give their power away, or they just give into their own darkness and not balance. So, this sextile to Pluto is how we are beginning this Aries season. And it, as we intensify and increase degrees, speaks the language of the supernatural through your own authenticity. The synchronicities are hitting so much stronger. Okay. And, the Old Testament is interesting because the Old Testament is about the law. The first 5 books of the Bible, Levitic, Deuteronomy, was found by King Josiah years after Moses supposedly wrote this. So that's another kind of controversial topic, because the Old Testament, I'm not going to say is entirely plagiarized, but it shouldn't be seen as a historical account as much as like a mythology. I look at it as Jewish esoteric lore. And I love the Old Testament. The Old Testament is one of the hardest books I've ever read. Like some of the dopest shit is in the Old Testament with Elijah, with Elisha. Like, I fucking love the Old Testament. We're still in Leviticus or Numbers, but like, yeah, that being said, Jewish lore, it definitely puts you into, the idea that if we akin Saturn in Pisces to your tenure in a record label or in a jail or Joel, I'm not sure. I think you mean Joel, but like, yes. Okay, so you believe in the demiurge. So there's some people who believe that the God of the Old Testament is the demiurgic evil God. Personally, I disagree. I believe in like a demiurge, but I can see how the God of the Old Testament could fit that. But yeah, I don't really agree with that. I think it's just a lot of differences around what happened in that time period and how people kind of look into, you know what I'm saying? The ways these were kind of expressed and whatnot. I have a different belief surrounding that, but yeah. So the Old versus New Testament, the Old Testament is the law. The first 5 books of the Bible is the law of God. And then they are pushed by the prophets, right? And in the New Testament is the gospel, and they're pushed by the apostles. If you learn to really read these like manga, you don't want to get too caught up in the literacy of this, the literalness of this, versus the central message that is being pushed out, okay? And I disagree. If you're reading it too literally and out of a certain context, a loving being could say that, but just because someone's a loving being doesn't necessarily, just because someone may have love in a certain way doesn't necessarily make it look a certain way as well. But yeah, the book of Judges. Jail in the book of Judges. Thank you. Judges is such a fire book. Judges is fire. 1st and 2nd Samuel is fire. It's fire. Okay, 1st and 2nd Kings is fire. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you read from like Judges moving forward, it's such an enjoyable read. It's like reading a manga, bro. It's an interesting story, but like, yeah. With that being said, can I have do you do a perspective on my Aries season chart? Absolutely. I have Aisha, who just kind of joined the queue. So you're welcome to join as well. That's no problem. We know you're Cancer rising, so this is definitely going to kick in a new stage of your career and your 10th house and what direction you want to take it into. But yeah, other than that, it definitely but see, that's another thing. The idea that a book in the Old Testament about a God called Yahweh, which was never originally monotheistic. So the idea of a monotheistic God was borrowed and later added, right? The idea that the law in these books, the reason why this is important is when people tell you that divination is evil, when people tell you that reading tarot is evil, their only evidence of this is the first 5 books of the Bible. So that's like me getting a Spider-Man book. And it's like in the 5th chapter of this Spider-Man issue, it says that you shouldn't drink milk. You would call me crazy for doing that. So there's so many conditioned ideas that come from this concept, like this idea of this story, right? Yahweh really isn't anyone to follow versus a character, a God in the Old Testament that chose Abraham to create a whole new nation. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely something to keep in mind. A lot of these beliefs are dissolving. And that's very hard for people who grew up their whole life being stuck on these doctrines, right? I'm not going to say it's something you graduate from, but, it's something that, should you have the gnosis, you will see the erroneous nature of how these things are taught, how these things are enforced, how people remix. Like the whole point of all these different denominations in Christianity is that these people cannot agree on just the nature of Christ alone. Some people think he has one nature. Some people think he has 2 natures. Some people think, oh no, he's God and he's not God. So, I mean, it's quite the legacy, personally, if we're going to really speak on it. But that being said, you know what I mean? The nature of course, this sextile, as we push forward, is going to communicate what you've begun to awaken. And you want to see the awakening of energy, the perspective around it, and the direction we move to keep it steady, to push it forward. So what I'm saying is, over the next 30 days, you're going to be experiencing more expression through your actions of your supernatural power and potential. All the synchronicities you've seen over the past 20 years, they're happening quicker. They're much deeper. They're much more powerful. You have created these neural pathways, seemingly unknowingly, that are going to make themselves known. Pluto Aquarius. So it's very exciting. And once again, it's important to understand that Pisces, right? These are stories written by men who claim to have divine inspiration. The creator of Mormonism claimed that God spoke to him. Muhammad claimed that Gabriel spoke to him. Paul claimed that he saw Jesus. Like, these are just all man-made stories. And we all get inspired, but to claim that this is the only authority is very disingenuous and very misleading, when really Christ is truth. Christ is logos. Anything that reflects the truth and logos of Christ or a situation or a God, that's the word of God. It's Christ alone that's the word of God. It's invisible. It's not something you write in a book. And people have been tricked to believe that this is the only book. You cannot fit the entirety of God in 66 books. You really can't. It's crazy. It's very interesting how from 0 CE this has been able to take over. And I don't just mean Christianity, because Christians still get persecuted. Muslims still get persecuted. Like, people of religious faiths get persecuted. But a whole lot of it is clinging on to an idea of God versus living it. And that's really the push moving forward. Neptune is dissolving this idea that there's anything separate from you and God. So I'm going to use Christianity for example, and Pentecostalists are like the Nen users of Christianity, right? Pentecostalists will say, how can you say you're saved if you don't speak in tongues, right? Like, you can say you believe in God, but how do you demonstrate that? This is why Jesus will be like, people are going to be like, oh, I healed the sick in your name. I fed people. Jesus is going to say, I don't know you. How do you demonstrate your faith? Pisces season was you setting up a new faith, reinforcing your existing faith. So what actions are you taking to demonstrate this? And I'm not talking about works. I'm not talking about, oh, I have to be a good person. I have to do this and that. How do you actively demonstrate your beliefs? For example, for a decade now, I've been talking about your innate potential. I've been talking about, you know what I'm saying? You have supernatural abilities. You're psychic. And when people have doubted me, I did not argue with them. I demonstrated it. When people told me that tarot is bullshit and you can't predict, you don't have prophecy, I merely used the tarot to predict multiple events that people later caught on to before people were even talking about it. I demonstrated. And that's the language. That's the Gemini signature language from Aquarius to Aries and Pisces to Taurus. Because once we get into Taurus season, the power you are activating through the authentic actions you take will ground and naturally generate physiological energy and strength to be more real. All right. Demonstration versus excessive action. So whereas before, coming out of this dream, everyone was able to just fool us, or people were able to get fooled because they were tugging at your pathos, not logos, pathos, tugging at your beliefs. Oh, I can make this happen. Oh, I can make this happen. Faking the demonstration, right? Versus just demonstrating. Okay, demonstrating and regurgitating is not the same. And shout out to the Geminis, we demonstrate with the explanation. We turn the explanation into the demonstration, just like I'm doing so right now. Okay, I think of all the people who I started this journey out with. That's why shout out to Jack's motherfucking Atlantis. That's a real one. Shout out to Starry Aries. She out here really doing, and she got married recently to her aqua hubby. So congrats to you two. But yes, right? Like, I remember in 2012, all the people who were suddenly spiritual. Oh yeah, shout out to fucking Candace Marie. The Beyond the Veil is on a whole nother level. Shout out to motherfucking Candace. You know what I'm saying? Candace, since I met her back in the day, is still pushing strong. Like, there's so many people who just suddenly decided they're goddess Isis, they're spiritual, they do astrology. They fell off in 5 years. And when I say fell off, I don't mean that they reached a height and they don't do it anymore. I mean that they're not consistent. They don't do this. So shout out to Gemini Brown, Andre, right? There's so many people who I started doing this with that, oh, they have to deal with family. Shout out to the Leo King. Shout out to Astrolata. There's so many people who, oh, I don't believe in this anymore. Oh, I'm Christian now, or I have a new religion. I don't do this. And there's not as much people from back then who actually still, a lot of the stuff that I was saying back then, I'm still saying now. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't switched up. I'm not grifting. I'm not going from trend to trend to trend. I was Magic Mike back then. I'm Magic Mike right now. You know what I mean? So with that being said, and don't worry, season 3 will come. It's just because she moved to Texas. So we just have to somehow, get the right time together. But yeah. And yes, Pluto Sag astrologers, you guys are next up. You guys proliferated TikTok, and some of that was just a bunch of trash TikTok astrology. But do not sleep on Pluto Sag. Pluto Sag got some fire astrologers, and y'all give me hope in the future. That's why I'm not so pressed to try and prove astrology and do so much, because it's in good hands. The new generation has got it in good hands. I'm gonna be focusing more on just book writing and kind of creating more projects, reaching out, doing events. But yeah, now that we are coming through out of this old beliefs, out of this old era, I want you to think about as if you had tenure on a music label, or you were an actor as a part of a TV network, right? This Sun-Saturn conjunction we had a couple of weeks ago represents the final contract that you have finally closed with the nodes. So you walked out of the office. Some of you have been working for this network or company for decades, if not just years, okay? And now as we step into this new moon in Aries, boom, you have officially become a free agent, all right? Now, what is that gonna lead to? Let's actually fast forward to next year where, look, we're gonna have the Sun-Saturn Aries contract. This is like Drake leaving UMG, and then next year, he starts his own label. He already has a label, but he goes independent. All right. But that's what it means. Sun, Saturn, Aries is leaving tenure, working with the big dogs. And now you're on some independent shit moving forward. And then we're going to see this collective. We're going to see more individual rights. We're going to see more capability through technology for people to do things that they outsource to others by themselves. These are all going to be proponents of the major renaissance we're going to have over the rest of the decade, right? A revival and resurgence of getting back to that originality. And that's why I appreciate when we go through periods where the music sucks, the movies suck, the entertainment sucks. It's necessary. It's necessary to have this tension because it directly results in renaissance-like periods, whether they're short or long, right? But yes, been talking about magic, been demonstrating magic with you guys live on camera, so we can't say we capping. And it puts us in that space of people. If you think of break bills, where you have the general world and then they don't understand there's an inner world within the world. Many of you have been striving to create a world like that, not realizing that you've always been in it. You're you. And that's the return to self this Aries transit is going to signify. So look, Devin, you've been a direct co-conspirator. Don't think we forgot. Oh, he's going to pull the death card. And I'll pull it. So, you know what I'm saying? We really out here for real. And what's really significant about this is, as you can see, 2026, this is going to be where you might decide to sign with a major again. It doesn't mean everyone's going independent. It just means that's the next grounding of contracts. But really, the push is we independent now. Okay? So in between that, this is the year right after you've come out and you're a free agent. What happens when you're a free agent? People bid on you, right? Or you just go a different direction. Okay? And why that's very significant, right? Especially working for a label, it's you may have inadvertently made corporations so fucking wealthy. Now you're in a position to apply all of that for yourself and not just live out someone else's dreams. There's nothing wrong with working with a bigger organization, by the way. You know, some people do, their best bet is to sign with a label. I'm using it as an analogy. But, you know, just make sure the contract is right. So that's how I want you to think about this. We're having the Venusian 8-year Kazemi that is retrograding. The last 8 years was 2017. That's when I became Magic Mike. 8 years before that was 2009. That was when I was a freshman in college in University of Maryland, and I had moved to El Paso, Texas, and transferred to UTEP. So, you know, this is yet another beginning of an 8-year cycle. Shout out to, and I'm very grateful, by the way, because just learning this concept helped me so much. It really just brought to light so much. Shout out to Danielle Moore. And I would also dare say, really shout out to Carrie. All right, Carrie, who introduced the concept to me. It's putting you in a position to not only continue to produce and exemplify a whole lot of your authenticity. We just came out of 2 I Told You So tours. You know, when people are angry at you and there's nothing they can really say about you, so they have to make shit up. It's like, that's what it feels like now. It's like you have demonstrated so powerfully. You had 2 I Told You So tours. Now people are just hurling insults at you because there's nothing else they can say. They're in a pathetic, miserable, sad state because the energy that they invested in trying to embarrass you and debunk what you do only ended up working in your favor. How many people think I'm a con? How many people think that I'm some kind of grifter or scammer, right? But when we talk facts and we talk evidence, in 10 years of doing this, in an industry where people outright just lie to people, give them cold readings, steal their money, in 10 years and over like 7,000 orders, there's not a single person who can say I scammed them. Every single person that might have anything negative to say about me has never purchased a reading from me. They've never purchased a service. Everyone who has rated me 5 stars. I'm still 5 stars after 10 years. So like, that's just facts. And I'm not talking about me. I'm reflecting this with you as well. And shout out to motherfucking Chad the Maverick. It's been admiring to see you innovate in this game too. And I see your role in this. He's one of the Pluto Sag astrologers that I was talking about. You know what I mean? Like the future is in good hands. And, you know, shout out to those of you who do it in integrity. There's a lot of people in this field who just see this as a quick money grab. And they start to refund. People want refunds for their stuff and they dispute the refunds. Despicable shit. You know what I mean? We actually put in this work. We're actually helping people. And I'm talking about this industry, but it applies to quite literally every industry. You could be a car mechanic right now and other people are trying to hate on you. You could do hair and people are trying to act like you're not him, like you're not her. Okay. And that's what Aries season is all about. You have fulfilled the integrity of everything to believe about yourself in Pisces. That came with scars, that came with pain, that came with difficulty. But whereas other people gave up, whereas other people made the decision to act out of integrity, you maintained integrity. If you think you're not getting rewarded for that, guess again, okay? And that's the thing. You're a free agent now. Your work speaks for itself. Does that make sense? Okay, so like you don't have to concern yourself with proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding. The whole moon in Aquarius right now is you are coming into the realization that some people recognize you. So, and I mean the true you at a soul level, the facets of yourself you felt would never be understood. There are people out there who recognize you without you having to tell them or put them on. There are people who reveal this. Those are your people and you're their people. right? How much time do you invest in those who recognize you? And how much time do you invest and waste in those who are committed to misunderstanding you? They don't know who you are. That might be the issue you have in your life. If you have an issue in your life right now, if you're struggling in your life right now, it's because you're giving your power away to people who don't fucking know you, even if they tried. And there's certain elements of us that should be misunderstood. Not everything should be understood about ourselves, but you have people who don't recognize you. They don't address you properly. They don't respect you properly. And you're complicit in investing time, energy, space, and giving away your power to these people, when you can instead invest it in those who are committed to actually recognizing you and maintaining that. All right. A lot of these people who don't put on the facade and image that everything's cool. I got my flashy stuff. I got my family. I got my career. I accomplished a bunch, but they're miserable inside because they have to put on this mask to put on the illusion that they're happy with it all. Meanwhile, you may have less than half of what they have, but you have a core understanding of yourself that, you know, unlike these people who have to rig back and forth because I need to keep this money. I can't say this against my message. You have the freedom to speak what you want, say what you want, be who you are. You have never let a check, listen to me, you have never let a check stop you from being who you are. It's one thing if a company has policies where they won't tolerate certain speech and you agree to that. So if you do, you violate that. That's different versus obligations that force you to not be yourself in the interest of promoting a certain image. You decided you can't be paid. And some of you turned around and took your own individuality and had them pay you and had it pay you. Okay. So moving forward, those who are going to make the most of the rest of this decade are going to be people who aren't trying to be like other people. And it's important for you to understand that emulating another person's style and copying other people was a cheat code for a long time. That's all you had to do. Just steal someone's swag. Take what works. And if anything, and thank you, right? I feel like me being blessed is the reflection of you being blessed. You know, you're watching me because you're blessed and you're reflecting that. You feel me? And I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? It's like people have always tried to steal the swag. If you look at how the music industry works, the basis of the music industry are people who are throwing money on product that hits. It's a business and it should run like a business. So the reason why that's significant is what ends up happening is you hear a sound that's making a lot of money, and then you have original talent who wants to give you their original sound, but you have a company whose goal is to make money. So they have to manufacture, oh, we want you to sound like this because they've plugged the numbers and they know if they produce a sound like this, it's going to give them some returns. So you're sacrificing authenticity for playing into the crowd and what you think they want to hear. And those of you who succeed the most are those of you who aren't afraid to push forward. That's why I played Mick Jenkins. Aries artists embody authenticity. The reason why people like Sexy Red is because she doesn't try to be anyone else she's not. She is unapologetically her. And there's a resurgence to authenticity. These are people who, they don't care if you think they're dope or not. They have an original style that no one could copy even if they tried. And that is power. That is an original power. You're going to activate your original power. And the reason why this is very significant is because last year you unlocked this original power, okay? With the North Node, young mama, but like, Lil mama, not young mama. I'm sorry. But like, yeah, other than that, it puts you in a position to not only break through, but it's also redefining your idea of what success is. Some of you may have allowed yourselves to be tricked by people from the outside looking in who place expectations. I did say young mama. I don't know why I said that. That shit is crazy. Shout out to Lil Mama, who I feel like she came out ahead of her time. She was just mercilessly underrated, and not really given a chance to breathe and grow. But that was an artist right there, you know. But it is what it is. You might have been given in to the idea that success is supposed to look a certain way. So you might have people in your head like, oh, you've never accomplished anything significant. You've never really done anything significant. You've never done anything for your family that big. You've never really you don't have enough money. You don't have that. And what this is are people snitching to you. Yeah, I think I mistake young ma with young, little mama, and they're snitching on themselves to you, actively lying, almost as if your presence itself and the longevity of you being here isn't successful enough or success alone. But you have this entitlement culture where success has to look a certain way. If you're not breaking certain boundaries, if you don't have a certain amount of money, you know what I'm saying? And that illusion is going to dispel overnight, where you're going to realize that success has always been an inside job. And it has less to do with what you can show for it. And it has a lot more to do with who you are and how that makes you as a person. How most of these people who have so much to show for their success, the first sign of difficulty, they switch up. You would think that through the work they got there, it would bring them grit, versus some people who don't buckle under pressure, right? Some of you might have given into the lie that there's so much more that you have to do to gain an idea of success that was always your legacy since you were born. Do not let a human being who hallucinates their reality and doesn't see over 99% of what's happening tell you what your legacy is. God gave you your legacy before you were born. No mouth breather who poops in a toilet can tell you what you're meant to be. But you have people who think they know things. They know everything but the fact that they're mouth breathing idiots. So these are the people who you should do the opposite of what they suggest and say. And what they suggest and say might actually be what most people on the planet think is cool at the time. While people are going to be following great trends, this is your chance to walk the solo road again or for the first time, and to realistically carve that path that later people will follow. And it's not even about following, right? If anything, you inspire people to make their own path. You know what I mean? So, like I said, with the theme of free agency here at play, what's very significant is how all of this is occurring after, with the North Node, we've unlocked everything you're destined to do to reposition what authenticity is for you. So let's talk about what Aries actually is. Aries is the motherfucking one, okay? You have the trio of fire. You have the lead role character, Leo. That's the main character with plot power, right? If they have main character syndrome, it's because they're the main character. They kind of have to, right? Then you have Sagittarius, the wild card, okay? I don't even think they know what they want to be in a given day. They'll be the hero one day, the villain the next day, the superhero again, the you know what I'm saying? But this is the entrance into, of course, ascended perspective. And then you have the one. You have the original stepper, the original independent. Aries went independent before it was cool. Y'all were calling Aries crazy when they went independent. And they made the decision before it even looked lucrative, but they understood what it was for. Taurus is all about ownership. That's why I respect Dame Dash in a certain sense. We were talking about Sun Saturn, and I used 50 Cent as an example. Well, before 50 was born, you have Sun Saturn Taurus. And as much as he says pause every 5 seconds, because Saturn is too gangster. Like they can't come off his off. He is 100,000% about ownership. And it goes under people's noses, right? Taurus is the natural independent. Okay, Gemini is the true independent, and then Cancer is the special independent. Those are the 4 independents, the 4 individuals that everyone steals from, but it's cool. Then you have the supers and the socials that take our individuality and integrate it socially. That's where we get to heroism, activism, and you have the diabolical signs, the gods, which are just completely diabolical, and just manipulate entire collectives of people. I mean, inspire and lead entire collectives that don't involve selling you dreams for profit. Never that. So, yes, we unlocked your original power last year. And as we are stepping into what you have unlocked, which is now engaging with beliefs you are meant to believe, the most important thing about this Aries season is that you are activating this new hardware and software. Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are cardinal aspects that represent who you are as a person. They're active at all times. We just have focus on certain areas than others. So when we talk about how you feel as a person, all right, you have a first name and last name. Your surname is Cancer. It's where you're from, right? When we talk about who your family is, who you are in relationship to where you're from, and how you feel about yourself, it's the first integrative power that now begins to master your Aries identity. That's Cancer. When we now talk about how we take this deeper understanding and how we present it towards other people, hence the artist, the activist who represents other people, right? An agent is merely a representative. That's Libra. And it's taking who you are and what you feel about who you are, and it's through the mastery and practice of Virgo presenting this. Then we have the collective makeup of your reputation and your legacy, the test of time, and what you've achieved and how that relates to who you are in a worldly sense, and also the entire collective ends up being universal. And all of that starts from one Aries. I am horrible is going to set a chain of actions where you commit horrible atrocities. I am the shit, I am amazing is going to put you in the direction to commit amazing deeds. Saying it alone isn't enough. You saying I am is you taking action. So all these 4 cardinal signs are strictly action based. These are the zodiac signs that are like, we not waiting, we do it. We go out and we get it. They're just doers. They're driven, right? It's cardinal. So Aries is the first point of actions that you take which reflect who you are. Libra, on the opposite, are actions that you take which reflect your relations with others. Okay, so when we talk about Libra, we're talking about social actions. When we talk about Aries, we're talking about independent, individual actions. There are things you do with others, and there are things you do for and with yourself. So Aries is going to mark the authentic versus the altruistic actions with Libra, the authentic, original, and personal actions that define your identity and your individuality. Now that we're coming out of Pisces, which remodeled and unlocked an entire new belief system around who you are and meant to be, you are now taking individual actions to define who you are. Okay. So there's who you may think you are, there's who in your head you might swear you are, and then there's what you do this season that will define who you are. And the less authentic you are, the more you are missing the mark and committing sins, and you aren't making the most of this Aries power. Aries is one of the most difficult signs to be because they can't not, like, have you ever seen an inauthentic Aries? It looks painful. These people are so raw, it gets them into trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aries is one of those signs, you know who's the Aries. And they're not gonna apologize for being themselves, as obnoxious as they may be sometimes. I'm gonna be completely honest, yes. But that's the homie. As a Gemini, Aries is the motherfucking one. And as much as people may hate on Aries, they're always the first to do shit. They're the first to spark something. They're going to stay up to date with the freshest stuff. If you want to know what music is popping right now, they are on the pulse of the now moment. That's why it's the youth. It's 0 to 2 years old. Go to Aries. They'll put you on to some new stuff. All right. And people do say Aries is too selfish, and it can be, but sometimes people are too altruistic and they give too much of themselves away to others. You need an Aries in your life. Aries is going to teach you to look out for self and to honor yourself and to respect yourself. You know what I mean? Whether that's with you throwing hands with them or, you know, reflecting that authenticity. So you want to ask yourself, what are the actions that you are ready to take in order to, of course, express this authenticity? Carrie, thank you. I got your Venmo. So with that being said, okay, what's very significant about this is that all the fire signs could be very generous because fire is just very expressive. But what's very significant about this is we're starting the cycle off, concluding the previous Pisces new moon cycle we had in Pisces. Then we had the quarter square in Gemini, the full moon in Virgo. Then it went into Aries. We concluded with the moon in Cap. And now we're coming into a supernatural and celestial knowledgeable understanding, Aqua Moon, of who the fuck we are and how what we believed is actually converging to produce the identity that reflects these beliefs through your actions. So as the moon goes further into Aquarius, it's going to connect with Gemini. It's going to expand your vocabulary of how to communicate who you are because you have a higher understanding of knowing who you are. But how are you going to know who you are? By who you feel you belong with. This is going to really push you further into your people, your tribe. And because of the Pluto Aqua, right, you're going to understand relative to who recognizes you. And yeah, you could tell who hates a zodiac sign by how they talk about that sign. It'd be hilarious. They don't even hide it. Be like, and then the people who watch are like, damn, I didn't hurt you. Like, why are you going off on? But other than that, who is recognizing you? This is so very important. This is why I'm saying it's very important before we start the new moon. As the moon goes into Pisces and releases old beliefs for good, going through Saturn and North Node, which won't be in Pisces again for like a century, and Saturn 30 years, this is your last chance to let go of contracts, bonds, obligations with others who don't recognize you. You are willing to make any excuse that you want to make. Oh, but I need this job. Oh, but I mean, compromising is different. I'm not saying you shouldn't work with other people, right? I'm saying, you know, you shouldn't be there. You feel you shouldn't be there. You're not yourself there, but you're there because you need the money. So you've elevated a fiat currency over yourself. You're there because, oh, I need the opportunity. It can be a sacrifice. It doesn't have to be, but it's your decision. So you can either decide to drop them like a bad habit. This will open up space that the universe will fill in with people who recognize you. People cannot recognize you if you're not being yourself, though. So you're going to be taking actions that reflect who you are, and that's what's going to align you with others who see you, who resonate with you, who you are and are you. Okay? And what's very important about this is you could compromise. You can decide, you know, I don't feel like myself when I'm in this relationship. I don't feel like myself when I'm at this job, when I go to this organization. And in 6 months from now, you may come to regret not betting on your literal self. Okay? I'm not necessarily saying to just drop everything and just forsake it, unless that's what you feel like you have to do. And if it's just very clear that, you know, moving forward into something doesn't reflect who you are, you're not even respected as who you are, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I promise you, every sacrifice and every risk you take towards betting on yourself will pay off for the rest of your life. Okay? If you're expecting immediate results, then all I can tell you is you can't rush what's meant to last forever. But with Venus retrograding, with Mercury retrograding, as we come into Friday and into next week, where we actively activate the new moon of action in Aries, this is not only going to activate your free agency, but this is going to put you in a very powerful position. Welcome to the Eternal Vibe Tribe. In order to now activate these authentic actions, okay? We're activating new power. We're activating this cycle with Chiron getting ready to leave Aries in the next few years. Okay? Intention plus expectation equals manifestation. Okay? So I intend, right, to I intend to be the sexiest man ever alive. I intend to, you know, come into a new vehicle, right? And I expect it. I'm not doing anything for that. I'm not actively looking for new cars unless I have the money to buy it. If I'm already working towards it, I know I can stack my dough, but I intend to get the vehicle and I'm expecting it. I know that I'm going to get it, whether I make it myself or it's given to me. And that's it. I'm not doubting it. The bike that I always show back there that I got with just one walk around really fulfills this. I saw someone with a motor moped and I was like, I'm getting that. I had made the intention. I'm going to get that. And I expected that and I let it go. I let it go. In 5 minutes, I walk around the block and then someone walks out with a bike like, hey, you trying to buy this? Straight like that. This is how powerful we are. Was it the same exact type of bike? No, but I thought that still stood out, right? This is how we co-create with the universe, okay? And why that's very significant is you have a bunch of people who've lost themselves to themselves. It's always the people who've lost who they are that attack you standing in who you are. Those are the people who feel like you're looking down on them. You feel too arrogant, but it's not that you're too arrogant. They're just bitch made. I mean, they're just weak. They're WLBs and SLBs. And are you still investing in people who don't know who they are? Okay. Oh, who got a truck? Shout out to whoever has a truck. That's amazing. I did lose myself for a bit. And Lisa, I appreciate your authenticity. Some of us, many of us had to lose ourselves in order to return to ourselves. Versus, you know, people who just forgot who they are. Like they've completely lost, you know, themselves entirely. Versus some of you that had to dissolve who you were taught you were or who you believed you are so that you can come into who you've always been. All right. So, you know, with that being said, from now until next week, you're coming into the completion of everything you've believed, right? And by next week, you want to use this period to let go and release any belief that doesn't align with who you are, right? You want to release any relationship or person that does not respect or recognize you as who you are. I feel like some of you are okay with letting other people casually disrespect you. And it's definitely going to be an amazing period to stop doing that. Okay. Can we do a ritual on that? I recommend you do a ritual by yourself now because everything about Aries is individual. But when we do the new moon ceremony on the 29th, you can bet you that we'll do a ritual on activating this. We could come up with something very creative. So that's the first energy. And Cha, thank you. I'm glad you felt that too. That energy is all of us, hype, fired up, ready to really express our entrance into a whole new world. All right. And if you want that whole new world arc, once again, that begins officially 2026. Once we have this Sun Saturn, a whole new world. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know why I did that. Blah, 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 blah. A whole new world. Okay. I had to just flex my glorious angelic voice. But yes, in between this new world and now is this free agency period that now that you're moving into a new individual, authentic direction, this is going to put you in contact with those who align with you like you align with them. So we're going to activate this new cycle. Okay. And thank you so much, guys. You guys are the fucking best. And we're going to push forward with the moon in Taurus. This is going to, of course, well, I'm going to break down the moon dynamics during the new and full moon ceremonies. So we're just going to kind of go phase to phase. So catch the new moon ceremony because I'm going to break down what each moon phase means. But the first, from the new moon to, of course, this quarter square is going to involve planting the seeds with Aries, manifesting the value, our natural value and quality of this new direction, understanding how to express it in Gemini, and then being able to integrate how we feel about who we are. So that's where the seeds will break through the ground. Okay. Then the moon's going to go into Leo. We're going to fully express this with our talents, right? Then we're going to integrate this masterfully in Virgo and take this new power that we began to understand the nature of it. And through Virgo, we're mastering the habits around this new direction we're taking. And then boom, on Chiron, we are activating self-healing while we are harvesting the new raw power we've activated. By this point, Venus is direct, Mercury is direct, and what do you know? Neptune has entered Aries. Now, I have to tell you, the last time Neptune was in Aries was in the 1800s, around the first Civil War America had. Oh, yeah, dude, thank you. Almost forgot. We're going to do that declaration of non-consent for the Libra full moon. Thank you for reminding me. I was wondering what to call that. All right. Boy, I completely forgot. I had already scheduled the full moon, so let me actually change it. But I'm just going to call it the non-consent ritual, declaration of non-consent. So by the time we come into the full moon, this is going to prepare and put you guys in a position to understand the social balanced context of how this new identity, of how this new authenticity, for real, is putting you in a position to now feel how it balances with other people, right? I can decide, oh my God, that was too raw. I can decide that I'm going to be an ex-kabuki porn star. And some people can make it, you know what I'm saying, work for them. Some people can realistically make this work for them. Oh, Chad, I got you. I see you got through the Hypsee. And some people may not, right? I can decide that I want to be a selfish asshole who flashes children and just does everything my way. And when the moon goes in a Libra of the law, right, I might find that flashing kids doesn't balance well with the social context. This is where my individuality must clash with the social nature of your environment. And this now challenges you to maintain authenticity without being a disgusting raw asshole and a dick. All right. And that's what's going to now help you understand the classic expression. If I decide instead to help guide kids or just people in general, right? I know that's very vague. Once the moon goes into Libra, I'm understanding the balance of what spaces I can fuel my individuality. Versus some people who get at the opposite side of the spectrum and they're so busy trying to catch up and be like other people, they lose who they are. You don't want to do that Aries season. So we're activating new power. We're going to harvest this power by understanding how we balance its creative expression and presentation with other people through ourselves. And that's what, of course, is going to conclude this transit. As the moon goes into Scorpio, we start to come into a psychoanalytical understanding of how our psychology is transforming the actions we've taken. And just like we ended Pisces season with the moon coming out of Scorpio, this is going to be the most lit part of the season. As you can see, we're going to have a peak Sag moon that's going to show you the finality of this harvest. You're going to see how much you have developed your identity and individuality. Mercury is going to go over Neptune, taking that LSD, and the way you even talk about yourself is never going to be the same again. The Mercury-Venus retrograde is very significant because you exited it one way, and now you're reevaluating with Saturn everything, the totality of everything you've ever believed because of new information. And this is going to really shift the direction you're moving in. Okay. So it's like, let's say I decide, we used, of course, you know what I mean? We used, of course, an analogy last year of track and field, right? And the North Node in Aries was you becoming a track star. By Capricorn and Aquarius, you've successfully ranked in your first meet, right? Track meet. So let's think of another analogy. If anything, let's say this new moon in Aries is like you deciding to play guitar. I used this before, but let's say you're playing guitar for the first time and you realize through the new moon, oh wow, there's value in me playing this guitar. Like the moon's in Taurus, I bought a really nice quality guitar. I'm learning new abilities with the moon in Gemini. I learned how to do this strum. I learned how to do that strum. I learned how to do this strum. And then the moon in Cancer, how do I feel about me being a guitar player? How do I feel who I am? Because I can, what separates me, what makes me special from everyone else who plays guitar? How can I feel my unique signature? Boom. Now we're in the social sign of Leo. You, for the first time ever, played your guitar with other people socially. You're expressing your talent, right? Now, all these abilities you learned, you're putting it all together with the moon in Virgo. I'm putting this strum and this strum and this strum together, and I'm perfecting it and I'm mastering it. And now I've mastered how to play like 5 different songs. Now the full moon in Libra is me going to a concert, and I'm presenting all 5 of my songs that I spent the past 2 weeks ridiculously practicing for over and over, and it sounds perfect because practice makes perfect. And then, of course, the moon goes into Scorpio, and now you're beginning to transform your understanding of what you thought it was initially worth. You thought you were just playing guitar until someone walked up to you, right, and told you, you transformed my life. You've inspired me to play guitar now. Like you spoke to me on a deep level. Now your understanding of yourself has transformed because you've harvested your actions. And by the time the moon goes into Sagittarius, you're coming into a bird's eye view of who you are becoming, from someone who just made the decision to start something new versus now coming into a higher perspective of how to see yourself, right? The meaning of who you are, all right? The ascended understanding of who you are. And this is going to really show you a lot, but it makes important the moon in Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo transit before this final game changer, which of course will close out the transit, all right? With the moon coming into Capricorn, and then, of course, the sun's going to go into Taurus. All right. So major reflections. Mars is finally going to leave Cancer. And this is what makes me believe a certain element of war might be at play here. I didn't realize it was just showing my sexy ass face. So yes, the moon's going to go from Sagittarius. We're going to close the transit out here and look, 0, 3, 0. This is a point of great tension. Mars in Leo is a whistleblower. Okay, it's going to trine 0 degrees Neptune. It's going to square 0 degrees Sun in Taurus. It's going to oppose Pluto. So I want you to revisit last year when Mars was in Leo. I want you to look at the tensions that were occurring during this period between people socially around you and between the globe at large, especially when we talk about countries, right? As Mars returns to Leo, these conflicts are going to return again. But the direction we take with it is going to deviate from what we initially did before. And if you want reference, I think we could just go back to 6 months. 6 months ago, so okay, not even just 6 months. Oh yeah. So basically November, December of last year. Where were you November, December of last year? Because once this returns back into Leo, it's go time, okay? We're going to get ready to now produce very powerfully the strengthened quality of the actions you're taking now so that you can build further ground on it. And Mars is going to get ready to stand on what you believe. Whistleblowing. It's you not backing down. And the Pluto aqua face of just, idiots and losers who think that they can type anything to you from their computer screen and there won't be a consequence for it. And they're in for a rude awakening. All these people are in for a rude awakening. But yeah, that being said, that is what to expect this Aries season. Okay. And remember, you're a free agent, so you know what your value is. And the worst thing you can do is to sell yourself short for a moment versus looking long term and making sure if you're signing anything, it's for what you deserve, not in just the short term, but for the long term. Unless you want short term games and you might want to sell it away for just something very quick. Everyone's different. I can't decide for you, right? But yeah, this is the first step into what will be a whole new era. Okay. And with Neptune and Aries, this is putting you in a position to step into transcendence like never before. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Neptune and Aries is the second pillar. Once we get into, can you believe I'm saying keep it a buck with you? That's crazy. Once we get into Cancer, Uranus is going to be in Gemini. The three pillars of the new era are set. It's a transition into higher levels of masculinity where we came out of maturing femininity. All right. So Pluto in Aquarius is awakening humanity. Neptune in Aries is transcending how people identify themselves. And Uranus in Gemini is having people say the most revolutionary shit ever. Okay. For better or for worse. It's not all going to be pretty. It's actually going to be terrifying. And if you're a Gemini, welcome to the gang, baby. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. There was no reason for me to say that. So with that being said, guys, Neptune and Aries is such a huge deal. And I feel like it's important to realistically go back in time and look at how it's transited. 1925, it was in Leo, right? If we go back 50 years, 1875, it had just entered Taurus, right? And 9 years before that, it was in Aries. And 9 years before that, it was just leaving Pisces. Okay. So the last time we had Neptune 0 degrees Aries, okay, was 1861. Okay. What is unique about 1861, right? We had Uranus in Gemini, we had Neptune in Aries. Well, we know that 1861, Civil War happened. And now from 1861 back to 2025, we're going to have, you guessed it, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini. Does that mean that Civil War is going to break out again? You better believe it. Psych, that would be crazy. I guess it would be a fallacy for me to say that because this is repeated, it'll happen again. But what we want to do is to start to notice parallels. And who's doing that expertly is the Leo King. Definitely look at the Leo King's content because he's all over Abraham Lincoln. He probably even believes that there could be I'm not even gonna say that, but like he's on point as far as like, you know, predictions aligned with noting the hate him or love him. He's nice with the astrology, right? And it's important to study those 1860s. You have to go too in depth with it. And shout out to Ann, shout out to Jax, who go into the history of these things. It's important to see how even though so many cultural revolutions have happened since then, we're getting ready to step into this next era where now we have now we have technology, and we also have, you know, smart homes, smartphones, smart everything. He's really good at the historical context. The first time I saw him do that was his Age of Deception convention that I was there in person for. It's some of his greatest work. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. And it'd be interesting to watch again. But yeah, y'all. It's really cool because now you are a part of this historic period. And the most important thing you want to ask yourself, right? this season is how much of myself can I be? How can I fill my own cup so that I can offer others what I have to offer, right? If you have no substance, if you have no originality, it's the hugest disservice of yourself to not really go within and bring that out, because the willingness you will make day by day, step by step, this doesn't have to happen overnight, and everything you're activating now will harvest in September, October, during the eclipse in Virgo Libra. So we have 6 months to really integrate all this, but it's very important to not limit yourself, as Pisces is going to unlock so much of everything you could have ever believed. And Aquarius is going to awaken potential that is probably outside of what you think is possible, in alignment with augmented technology that will bring in a new age of cyborgs, as transhumanism is going to really be another major plot point, where you're going to have more stay human movements getting ready to come out. Okay. And I mean, it's good for TV, but you don't want to get lost in the sauce. All right. TV, in the sense that extra dimensional entities watch us on a YouTube like structure and just laugh at our and just kind of watch us develop and grow. Almost like we're an experiment. I mean, almost like, you know, we're a civilization they're studying and totally not manipulating and tweaking and tinkering with, because that would just be crazy to believe in. And I'm already crazy enough as is. So with that being said, guys, I really do hope you make the most of this Aries season, right? By April 12th, something with our president, possibly Astrologer Babe. Shout out to you, Astrologer Babe. I don't know if you're still watching live. Join us on YouTube. I'm so mad I just saw you. I haven't looked at the Instagram live. Shout out to you guys on Instagram, right? But join us on YouTube, yo. It's lit over here, right? They were like another Bible. Someone said, don't forget about the Psalms or the Wisdom of Solomon books. They're like another Bible. Shout out to that. So shout out to you guys on Instagram. Inca Originals, shout out to you. So yeah. It's so very important that you commit to doing things that are aligned with who you are. Nothing wrong with compromising. Compromise with other people to the extent that you don't lose your individuality, and everything that you lose as a consequence for doing something in integrity that's you was never meant for you. It is a blessing. Let it go. It's going to open space for what aligns with you, because you can't have a full cabinet. You know what I mean? Old endings are new beginnings. All right. So yay. That's all we got. You guys stay blessed as always. I'm going to move ahead and do the live readings, and we're going to start with Queen Aisha. All right. And yeah, you guys stay blessed as always. We do know that as a Leo queen rising, right? Sun goddess queen, you are reclaiming your throne. And Aries, this is so very important, right? When I get my app, I'm gonna bring back the transit forecast. I'm gonna bring back the transit talks, and then we'll go into explaining what these transits mean for each sign. But we do have the monthly tribe reports. So I forgot, we're gonna do that then. It's very important, Aries, to understand that you are one of the most important people. You are Ready Player One. So whether people want to admit it or not, you're the face of everything that's going on. And you move first. So people are supposed to get it after. You don't want to get caught up on people trying to understand what you're doing now. Shout out to Chosen 93. Before you've done it. So let people wonder what you're doing after you've already finished. They're going to catch up. Okay. So Ancient Rose, you know, as an Aries born sun who's progressed beyond Aries, this 9th house portion of your chart connected to the 10th is putting you in a position, or 8th really, is putting you in a position to very powerfully transform your philosophy of how highly you see yourself, how authentically you see yourself. Because every Aries is going to activate their gangster as soon as Saturn and Neptune turn. You're going to be the divine gangster. It's going to transcend everything you were prepared to believe and accept about yourself. And given the late Leo rising quality, especially with the moon in Cancer, a lot of the connection with Jupiter and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius is putting you in a very powerful position to see firsthand how much more powerfully you directly influence other people, how much more powerfully your value has pronounced itself, and how you are emerging more as a leader just by doing you. That's why I respect and I love the 9th house Aries sun, because that is the sun god king. That is the sun goddess queen. Your entire way of life is surrounded by being authentically you, and other people look at you as, oh, that's what I got to do. That's the direction. That's inspiration for me to be myself, right? And you're stepping up into this greater element of leadership that I think is going to, like never before, break through, this nature, if anything, of not only how much more powerful you can really tap in to this quality of yourself, but with Mars that's going to come back into Leo, gain that energy back as it crosses over the rising in the next few months. Right now, the sun is on your sun. You're going through your birthday. Mercury that's going to retrograde, Venus that's going to retrograde back into your 8th house is going to reevaluate who you implicitly trust with where you're taking this next facet of your life. And everything that reflects what you believe you're worth is going to determine who you cut boundaries with, who you cut off. All right. Oh, astrologer babe, we see you still here. Thank you. We love you. And yes, you want to get very excited, because as soon as Neptune gets closer to your sun, you're going to get caught up by the spirit. And it's going to change the game entirely on how you dissolve you and your divine self. Command it. And please watch the Ultimate Manifestation playlist, guys. It's time to just start commanding what it is the idea that you have to wait in order to be who you want to be, get what you want. That's dead. That was always a lie. It was always an illusion. We're dissolving this illusion. It's all now. And that doesn't mean things won't take time to play out, but we're living it now. We're not waiting to get it before we live it. Really, it's holding space to actually facilitate this. Next, we have Lady Carrie. All right. Another Aries queen. Okay. With, of course, the Gemini moon. Oh, and you at the Neptune traveling line. So that's genius. That's genius. Please keep me posted on that. Okay. And thank you, Rack. So yeah, Carrie, I love that you got the 10th house Aries. You've always been, you're a living success story, right? And if we take the past 30 years that have culminated coming into last year of you realizing, this great milestone victory and buying a new home, this is now completing everything that you began to change last year. And this is going to very powerfully, you know what I'm saying, change and shift very directly what new direction success looks like for you. The thing that I love about this is everything that you unlocked with the North Node last year in order to secure everything you're meant to do to achieve accomplishment. Once Saturn goes through over this year and next year, you're becoming an authority figure officially. You're becoming more of an authority over what you do, where people in higher positions of authority directly go to you for your first word. Because Aries, you do this. You've been doing this, right? And with the Cancer rising, this retrograde of Venus and Mercury back into the 9th house, with Neptune leaving and Saturn going through the nodes, is unlocking new beliefs around what you're meant to accomplish and how you feel about yourself. It is fully opening your third eye to redefine and reevaluate the shift of direction you're going to carve a new legacy of success with moving forward. So that by the time Jupiter comes into Cancer and you start this brand new cycle in your new home, right? This is going to really secure everything for you moving forward. And it's a lot to look forward to because God knows how much you work hard and how much you really do deserve everything that you've been working towards, where setbacks work in your favor as well. And all that is needed is to, of course, just maintain this level of authenticity. All right. And Rosemary music, I also have my 10th house Aries. So this is going to apply to you Cancer risings as well. It's just unlike, of course, Carrie, who has her sun in Aries, she's going to be more directly aware of this. All right. Drop me a gem based on Leo rising, Virgo sun, Pisces moon. Saturn is directly conjunct my moon. Oh, Soul Reaper. Saturn on a moon is a Soul Reaper. A quick gem I'm going to say as a Leo rising is this Aries season is quintessentially ascending your vision of yourself. So it's going to prepare for the big payday of Taurus. And as a Virgo sun, it's going to transform who you trust and who is in your ear speaking life to how they see you versus who is getting in the way of how you live your life because they're intimidated of you. They hating on you. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. You're probably going through a Saturn return. So congratulations. Now, next we have Follow the Moon, 888. Let's pull this up real quick. Follow the Moon, do you mind if I show your chart on screen? If you do, just let me know. If not, I will keep it hidden. I'll keep it private. Okay. I just wanted to ask first. But yeah. Because showing someone's natal chart is like showing their nudes. So I don't want to just show people your nudes if I don't have permission. That gotta make sense. I feel like you gotta ask. Some people may not just want their information out there. I don't care. I'll show my shit, but like, I feel like it's just worth it to ask first. Danvers, as in Carol Danvers. My bad. I just found out who she was last year. Let me not act like I know. All right. So we know you are also Leo rising. Wow. Oh, Gemini gang. Oh, and your Sun, Saturn, Gemini. So you're a Reaper. You're an angelic Reaper. 73. Respect. So that's beautiful. Jupiter, of course, is in your Oh, this is for Steph. Okay, Steph, that's why you asked. Okay, Steph, you a Reaper. Not only are you a Reaper, you're an angel Reaper. Okay, you're the divine angel. So the divine angel series are the GOAT of Geminis. I'm a Capricorn moon Gemini. You're a Pisces moon Gemini. I'm a GOAT messenger, right? But you're the divine messenger. Even though I'm a GOAT messenger, right? The divine messenger is the GOAT of all messengers. That's the Prince, the Kendricks, the Kanye West. You know what I mean? Like this is that level. It's the highest level of messenger, right? I'm a soul reaper. I have my moon on Saturn. But the Saturn sun is so much integrity of the word that your word is law. And this is why you hate liars. You have the magic ability to curse or bless someone because you stay in so much integrity of your word that once you speak it, it codes reality and that's it. And unlike the Saturn Geminis born in 2001, who are like alien god freaks and don't really count because they're not even from this dimension, you're more of an OG. You know what I mean? You came from the 70s. And you, unlike those born in 2001, 2002, you've been around the block. This is not just your first Saturn return. So this is going to just return on your second great work as it's coming out of Pisces, you've completed the previous Saturn return cycle you had 2001. So as a Leo rising, you're the main character. You are rulership. This is so important because a lot of people underestimate how divine Pisces moon is. The Pisces moon is the highest level of soul that one could be born with. It is the closest thing to God, right? Yeah, you the most high, but I am a close high, right? I'm paraphrasing that, but like it's the truth. It's extrasensory perception in a way that, unlike other souls, you feel directly into the unseen, and that stimulates your imagination. But you have maintained integrity in your word. Unlike Sun, Jupiter, Kanye West, your Sun, Saturn, Jupiter's father, right? And it puts you in a position to now bring the totality of truth. The reason why I love Saturn Geminis is I remember I spoke to a Saturn Gemini once, and Steph, I want you to let me know if this relates with you. But I spoke to shout out to Niraj, fucking amazing being, and his brother Akash. I spoke to my friend Niraj, and like before I spoke to him, I spent a year and a half coming up with different thoughts and concepts about myself, really just communicating, different ideas. In one conversation with him, he crystallized 2 years worth of thoughts in one sentence. That's Saturn in Gemini. It concises the word. It crystallizes the word. He, in 2 sentences, broke down everything I spent 2 years really thinking and coming to realization with. And that's the motion, the potency of Saturn. It brings into that singular focus. And that's why there's so much power and beauty with Venus in your word. You actually live what you talk about at this highest divine level here. And with this eclipse period, with Saturn and Neptune retrograding on your moon, that's what you feeling you're going a lot through. It's testing whether after all that's happened, do you still believe in your word? Even though especially in the 8th house where you're dealing with people who are betraying your trust or testing how much they value you, this is getting ready to break through the higher belief around what you're meant to achieve. And it's going to really establish through this Aries season who aligns authentically with your message and how that exalts the higher vision of who you see yourself to be. Now that Uranus is innovating your legacy, it's innovating the unexpected windfalls of income that we evolved last year and that we're going to revisit before Uranus goes into our sign. When Uranus goes into Gemini, and that's why I voted for President Trump. Honestly, this might not be, I shouldn't be proud to say this, but I'm proud to say this. I voted for Obama because he's Black. Yeah, I didn't know he was mixed, but he Black passed. I didn't care. I really didn't care if his mom was white. I don't give a fuck. I still don't care. I voted for Obama because he's Black. And I voted for Trump because he's a Gemini. There you go. I still don't know any of their policies. I still don't know what they really stood for, but I just knew, first Black president, and then Gemini. Just like Kim Kardashian as a Libra voted for Libra, Kamala Harris, peace dealer Gemini, voted for Gemini Trump. They're Geminis that voted for Kamala and they're Libras who voted for Trump. But like, I'm not gonna forsake my own zodiac. He might not even like me. He might never know me, but I'm looking out for Gemini. It's not even about him. I voted for Trump because he was born with Uranus in Gemini. So we have a sitting US president that when Uranus returns into Gemini and sparks this innovation, he was born with that aspect. Good, bad, worse. I'm not trying to say everything he's going to do is good. I'm pretty sure he's going to do some stuff that'll piss all of us off. But I'm using it as an example. This innovation is just going to radically just shift our message. And we're going to piss so much more people off easily More than it originally took us to do. So I'm looking forward to what Kendrick drops and all the Geminis kind of push through. I mean, we're not zodiac signs, right? But shoot, how come all Geminis act? How come we all act similar? It is what it is. So last but not least, we have the god Chad Taylor. Okay, and I really do mean the god, ninth house Aries, ninth house Sagittarius, sun and moon, with Pluto in Sag and Saturn in Aries. As I will always say, especially Saturn 0 degree Aries, you guys are leaders of the new school. So everyone who was born with Saturn in Aries, born in the 90s, you are a part of the creation of a whole new world, and y'all are the very first that the universe is like, go and show them how it's done. And you are one of the more ascended lords of this period. All right. After, of course, Jupiter left Sagittarius and entered Capricorn, of course, accordingly. So this is beautiful because as an Aries rising, you're debuting who you are again. You had the North Node unlock your personality. And now that you are unlocking, of course, and thank you, Fall the Moon. Now that you are unlocking this element of your beliefs, right? And Saturn and Neptune are coming out of your 12th to rid yourself of this doubt and imposter syndrome, but to really now prepare this foundation of beliefs you're comfortable resting your spirit in. Aries is now going to debut this next version of yourself as Venus goes through again after retrograde, and Mercury after retrograde, and Neptune and Saturn. All right. And I peeped the vision of how you're innovating this game, of how you're adding more visuals to it, and how every single brick you've placed together is preparing for you to own this foundation. It was all to prepare you for your return. This return is going to happen for you coming into May and June, or coming in after Aries season, coming into Taurus and Gemini season. I think it's going to be one of the best things that's ever happened to you, bro. Pluto is sextiling your Pluto. So it's like everything you've gone through is preparing you for more virality, for more fame, for more notoriety, because you know how to show people the nature of the meaning of experience, of the meaning. You are the embodiment of the meaning of life here. All right. And that's very powerful, of course, in a way that ties into this next generation. You have Juno near your rising. So there's the aspect of rulership. And I think it's a lot to look forward to as Pluto has awakened Uranus in Aquarius for you. So now that it's sextiling your Pluto, this is just going to innovate more unconventional solutions relative to how you push forward. All right. Moving forward. All right. So once again, definitely a lot to look forward to. Jalen Mims, I see you just sent a Cash App, and E.L. Parker, thank you very much. So I'm definitely going to get to you guys next. Jalen, thank you for sending your chart. Eli, please. Oh, okay, good. You gave me your date of birth. Okay, so that's you. That's you. Beautiful, Eli. Awesome. So let's pull that up. But yeah, basically, Chad, all power to you. It's definitely been wild. But you're getting ready to like innovate and pioneer. I want you to think pioneer. You're getting ready to pioneer, I think, the next phase of, and forget just astrology, really whatever you're doing, you're going to pioneer, right? So once again, a lot to look forward to. Now let's get to Jalen. Let's get to Jalen. Word. Beautiful. Aries, Pisces. Cancer rising. The Hermetic Healer. Actually, no, you straight. You gave me the rising and moon, so I could just edit that. All right, Booyah Kasha. Yep, Pisces moon, Aries sun, Cancer rising. So first we're gonna do Jalen. All right, thank you. Leo sun, Pisces rising, Taurus moon. Now be very careful of these Pisces risings. Pisces risings are dead ass shapeshifters, especially relative to your status as divine being and divine prince. You have the highest elite level personality, so you could finesse people this easy. But of course, with Saturn going through your rising, with the North Node going through your rising, unlocking this with Neptune here, you have both transcended and gained the totality of belief in self. Saturn going through the rising, you know what I'm saying, makes you a gangster. It's like starting a new business. It takes 2.5 years for Saturn to go through your rising. It takes 2.5 years for you to get a business off the ground. And then it goes into your second house of finances. You start stabilizing that money and move forward. So this was all about the integrity of your belief in yourself since 2023 of March. Okay. And knowing that you are the natural performer or the natural solar king. I think Lil Uzi Vert has this moon and sun. The Leo King has this moon and sun. Y'all get crazy money. The Pisces rising with the North Node is unlocking everything you are destined to believe and unlock about yourself, so that by September, you are analyzing how relationships socially with others, because Pisces is antisocial, Taurus, Aries, Aquarius, opposite the socials. It's ahead of the sexuals. I just want to say that. So the opposition here in Virgo, you're going to understand how in a social context, your beliefs align with others who see what you see, resonate with you. And Karen, we love you. Thank you very much. Fully expect a collaboration between the two of us soon. If you guys loved her breakdown on Chiron, trust me, it's going to get better moving forward. So yeah, as a Leo sun, we have to take into account that, like Chad the Maverick, you're both born 96 and you're both leaders of the new school. So Aries is going to be the pre-activation of this karma before 2026, where you for sure have your return, but it begins to come in 2025, right? And the reason why that's very significant is, as a Leo sun, you're going to be aware of this Aries season by seeing the higher vision of yourself. But as a Pisces rising, you're manifesting stacks. So you are manifesting the original raw value of your belief in yourself, which is originating your own prices for services or products, taking actions that reflect your wealth. And you actually have Saturn in your first house, but your first house is intercepted. So technically, your second house is going to begin at 8 degrees Aries. So we can blend the second and first house. A lot of this, you're a gangster, by the way. So you're royal at a soul and spirit level, and then you a straight gangster, fam. So like the 7 degree Saturn placement is going to begin to build wealth around the integrity of how you don't sell yourself short or sell out. All right. Unless you build a corporation, you selling that out, you getting the bread you want for it. But like, this is definitely going to have you take the first steps towards coming into a new era of wealth moving forward. And this is heavily tied to the North Node that was in Aries. And now coming out of Aries into Pisces, it's reevaluating your belief in yourself moving forward. And once again, I'm very grateful for you, because the actions people like you and Chad are going to take are pioneering this conscious expansion, pushing all of humanity forward. It's just, whereas he is the universal awareness of this, you're the social awareness of this. You integrate creative performance in your day-to-day, and you're able to demonstrate and express with all of your talent these themes that you guys are going to pioneer and step through. And so when it comes to what exactly are you going to pioneer, that begins this year. That's what you're going to really carve out this year. And then next year, you officialize it, right? It's like you might get signed next year because of the actions you take as a free agent this year, in the analogy of signing. So next we have, of course, the Hermetic Healer. 10th house Aries sun as a Cancer rising. What I love about your chart is that you actually have Jupiter in Gemini. So you're due for a Jupiter return. The reason why this is so significant, first of all, Jupiter natally in the 12th house is like having a guardian angel. I want to do a case study on this, but I've frequently heard this where it's like you're protected behind your consciousness, or you're protected subconsciously from stuff that may have supposed to have killed you, or from certain whatever. But when it transits your 12th house, like it's transiting now, you have to surrender. The last time Jupiter transited my 12th house, I didn't know I would be here. I didn't know I would be an astrologer. I was still figuring out what to do with my life. I was trying to figure out how to make a living. And I, at the time, had to release everything I thought I believed that led me into taking these steps. I didn't have to release it all at once, but I had to begin the process of doing that. Thank you, Carrie. And this is what led me for Jupiter to go through the first and me to start to take that step. For you, Jupiter is going to go over your first, right, in July. It's going to begin late June, coming into July. You embody the new wave. And this also goes for Carrie as well, as a Cancer rising. As a 10th house Aries sun, you are defining your legacy. And being that you were born in 78, you actually have the North Node in Libra. So the opposition of the nodes help to unlock Pluto's influence opposite your sun. Now, I have a question for 70s Libras, because the 70s Libra is like, or let's say the late 70s, mid 80s Libra is like the mid 80s, mid 90s Taurus, which is like the mid 90s to 2000s Gemini. I'm going to use my generation because I'm familiar with it. When you have Pluto opposite your sun, people extremely hate you or people extremely love you. And you are the first to reinitiate this dynamic. So like Aries born in the mid to 70s, to late 80s, you have Pluto in Libra. And you experience this socially, where people can put on airs because they're threatened by your authenticity. And you can just have people extremely hate how authentic you are, or just how you are, right? It doesn't always have to be hating, or people will just extremely love you. Example of this is Chris Brown, it's DJ Academics. Shoot, even Candace Owens, all of them have Pluto and Scorpio opposite their Taurus sun. And people either extremely love them or they extremely hate them. This is actually because of the Pluto opposition of extreme potency, and not everyone's pure. Your presence can drive people to an extreme that if they're inauthentic, they're going to hate you. And so this 10th house is revisiting the next direction you take your legacy. But with your Jupiter in Gemini, it's going to also return this evolution of your mindset and the vocabulary that transcends old beliefs around how you think about yourself and your direct connection with the angelic realm. All right, with actual angels, with messengers, with divine beings. Because just like who I read before, you also have a Pisces moon. So you're the divine one. We read a Gemini who had a Pisces moon. She's the divine messenger. You're the divine warrior, right? Aries is the one. So we have the Leo moon Aries, the golden one. We have the Libra moon Aries, the classic one. And then we have the most legendary out of all the Aries constructs, the Pisces moon Aries. That's the divine one. They have extrasensory perception that taps them into the totality of everything, especially if there's Saturn here, that's unseen in order to influence what direction they authentically take moving forward. So you can come off as delusional because you're tapped into your dreams and imagination in a way that no one else does. But Jupiter and Gemini is that logical buffer that keeps you in check, so you're not too busy coloring outside the lines. So I would say this is a completion from last summer. If we go from your first house in Cancer in July to now, you're completing everything you activated since July. And this is going to not only inspire a new direction that Saturn will have you become a new authority over, or more of an authority over, and Neptune will transcend for the first time. But as we prepare for July, you're going to step into a whole new wave. You're going to embody this whole new wave. All right. So that's all we got, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I think this was, as the kids say, a W stream. And yeah, you know what it is you got to do now. I know back in Aquarius and Pisces season, the huge thing of it was, what's the next step for me? What's the next step? That wasn't the time. Now is the time. Now is always the time. But Aries represents the application of these beliefs where we're going to be carving through this direction. And as naturally, you're going to see the next step unfold for you. So all you have to do is do it authentically. Do it originally. Okay. And I will see you guys tomorrow, where I'm going to break down the Fire Tribe. The monthly Fire Tribe report will be free and publicly available, courtesy of Aries. Happy birthday. And until next time,